Do you support the idea of student debt forgiveness?
I didn't support this executive spending because it didn't go through Congress. There was no conversation. Again, my husband and I, when we moved here, we were $380,000 in debt from medical school, raising a family, trying to survive, and it wasn't without sacrifice and hard work of 100-hour weeks to pay off that debt. I have my daughter who just finished law school. She took out $60,000 in loans, and she's going to benefit from this. I find that's an unfortunate because she's going to make a fine living with her and her husband, who's also a lawyer who didn't have debt, and I will highly encourage her not to accept it because I think it's her investment in her education to do so. Again, there was no discussion or any negotiations. There could have been a myriad of other things that I think could have been addressed, but if we don't rein in the reckless spending, another $400 billion on top of massive amounts of spending bills, I worry for Oregon. We're a small population compared to, and we're $31 trillion heading toward massive debt, and I'm concerned with that. So I'd rather see some public-private investments that we've seen through community colleges, where we can incentivize our students to get to work the moment they can get out. Maybe we could have talked about the finance rate, and not so high. Maybe we could have spread it out over time, those payments where they had an opportunity to pay back, but there was none of that conversation. So again, I couch this as not thoughtful and thinking it through, and now we're trying to backpedal and try to figure out how it really works. So it's a concern for more spending.
So you advise your daughter not to accept the benefit?
Yeah, I've told her this is her education, and I truly hope that she heeds my advice on this. This is her education. So
I want to ask you, in your financial disclosure, you disclosed that you and your husband took a draw from the anesthesiology company of over $1 million in 2020 and in 2021.
A draw?
Well, it says on this document.
Oh, you're talking about draws that we take every month? Is that what you're talking about?
It says annual draw from income from current filing year, and it says income from
the profits from the company. We take it as draws.
$1 million
to W-2s.
Somewhere between $1 million and $5 million in 2020 and in 2021. But you also the company took $1.3 million in PPP loans, which were forgiven.
That's right.
So your businesses were profitable enough for you and your husband to take more than $1 million out each of those 2 years, but you also accepted PPP lending.
Right. So for 150 families and more that we employ at the height of the pandemic, we're trying to keep these employees on the front lines in the hospitals and the surgery centers and so forth. Because when we came back online, which was about 6 to 8 weeks after the height of the pandemic to come back into the healthcare, we needed to keep them on payroll to do so. So yes, we applied for the payroll protection plan in order to keep them employed until they can come back online.
But you've said that you would advise your daughter not to accept
in her education.
Yeah, which is in essence a government bailout.
Yeah, a job. She has a job to cover.
So you took a government bailout, but your daughter.
Well, our employees needed that money. We don't have the access to that cash to pay those employees. These are highly paid, compensated employees where they're making anywhere between. I'm not sure exactly. Every contract's different for each one, but I would say anywhere from $230,000 to $300,000 a year that cannot be covered for the amount of employees that we had. And in order to keep them employed and not have them move and uproot their families to go somewhere else when there was no jobs and we had no other options because the government mandated that we close down, it's different than this when she can go out and work.
But you've been consistently critical. You've been a fiscal conservative throughout your career. You've been critical of federal spending. You were critical when the Biden bailouts came through for Oregonians. But your financial statement shows that you and your husband have been very successful. You've got a net worth in excess of $10 million. And yet you took this bailout. So isn't that somewhat hypocritical for you to criticize bailouts for college students or bailouts for regular Oregonians, but to take a bailout yourself when you're already wealthy? Yeah,
thank you. I think it's completely different when there's no choice, right? The government mandated we could not work. We could not employ our families. We could not cover that in our business. Paying people not to work is not a good plan in my opinion, when they can go to work and have that choice. We were not offered that choice when it first came out, and we needed to make sure that we did not lose those employees during the height and pack up and move somewhere else. That's what we were concerned with, and we would not have been able to cover that.